I'm Daniel, the past life regressionist, and it's time to begin.
Lift off and the clock has started.
This is Timeless Spirituality. Enjoy each of your time.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Timeless Spirituality. I'm recording this a few minutes before midnight. I get goofy when I'm tired. I'm tired, so that was Goofy Daniel. Anyways. God, I'm such a dork. Where were we? Last week's episode. I want to thank everyone so much for reaching out, for all of your support. All of the messages you sent me absolutely blew me away. It was something else. Last week was really something else, and I just want to thank each and every one of you who reached out to me, and I also want to just thank everyone who listened to that episode, because even if you didn't reach out, it's okay. I could feel you there. So thank you, everyone, for being here and for being on this journey with me. It just... Oh, God, the journey continues. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Huh. Still goofy, D. Still goofy. So, for today's, it's an interview one. This second Ask Daniel episode, I have Jenny Sherman on again, who interviewed me in the season 1 finale, which was titled The Roundout. Hence why I'm calling this one The Roundout 2. I don't know, it just felt like the good thing to go with. Maybe that'll be the Roundout series when I'm interviewed now. I learned a couple things about myself in this episode. I'm going to start off by calling my ass out right now. When I went through the certification for QHHT, which is Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique, that is the primary method that I use, when Dolores Cannon talked about calling the higher self in, or the subconscious, the superconscious, what she had said at the time was, I hope I'm not misquoting her here, but at least the way that I took it was, the higher self doesn't care what you call it. Doesn't care if you call it the higher self, spirit guides, the subconscious, the superconscious, or she referred to it, the SC. She's like, they don't care. So I took that away as terminology being irrelevant there. Jenny asked me a question about the difference between the subconscious and the superconscious. Well, I should have known the answer to that one, but I didn't. I didn't have a clear way of articulating it, which I should have, because it was this inherent feeling of understanding like I knew it. But for someone in my position, I needed to have that answer ready. So I do understand what it is now in a more clear and concise way. However, I wanted to bring a friend of mine in to explain it a little more. And we're going to call her Annie Anonymous, because she's going to be the first person who I'll be interviewing in the Anonymous series in season 3. So in a moment, I'm going to play a clip from Annie Anonymous describing the difference between the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. And then from there, we'll just roll into the episode. So before we touch on that, I'm doing the normal shtick right now. If you would like to book a regression with me to discover who, when, and where you have been throughout time, you can reach me on Instagram at The Past Life Regressionist, or my website, thepastliferegressionist.com. And I'm still super goofy. I'm ready for this episode. I'm excited to put it out. And take it away, Annie Anonymous. Oh, yeah, forgot. And now, it's time to almost begin. Yes.
So we have 3 minds, as if one mind wasn't difficult enough, right? But it's true. 3 minds. Our conscious, our subconscious, and our superconscious mind, which I am going to refer to as the supermind from here on out. So what are these minds of ours? Well, let's start from the beginning. Our conscious mind. That's a part of our mind that's in the driver's seat. We all know our conscious mind very well. It is the part of our mind that makes the decisions in each and every moment. The decision to go to the gym, to eat healthy, to sleep in, to get up because we know we have to be responsible grown-up human beings, all that good stuff. That's our conscious mind. We're all very familiar with that, so I'm gonna just leave that one there. I don't think that one requires much explanation. Now, our subconscious mind. Okay, that's our library. And I when I think of the subconscious mind, I'm not thinking of the online version. You know, everything's online now, but online makes things so accessible. I mean, does anybody remember the good old days when we had to actually like go to a library and like pick up a physical book with like real pages, like a book that could actually gather dust? And it's like, that's a library I'm talking about. And that's a part of our mind where every single memory, thought, everything we take in, it's all stored there. Whether or not we realize it's happening, every little thing, everything we've been through, everything we've seen, touched, felt, heard, that's all in our subconscious mind. That's stored in our library. And the important part is that it's not just the memories that are stored there. It's a belief that we attach to them as we're taking in those memories via our conscious mind. For instance, you lose your job. You might think, as you're taking in that memory, looking at your boss, you never liked that much anyway, is they're firing you. You probably, whether, you know, for instance, you could be taking in the thought, I can't take care of my family. I'm not good enough, even though you are. I'm not whatever, but it's that I'm not, I lack. That belief pattern is stored with the memory in that library of yours, which is probably why our childhood memories are so wonderful, because we don't have the ability to be so hard on ourselves yet. We just take things in on a pure, beautiful, innocent level, which is why for most of us, a lot of our childhood memories, especially the very early ones, are largely pleasant, reminiscent. And that's not the case for everybody. But I think I'm getting the point across there to some extent. Now, okay, the supermind. It's pretty friggin' super. The supermind I would call a crossroads. Pretty much anything we conceive of, anything conceivable is not just a possibility, it's a reality. If a thought comes into your head, as soon as anything comes into your head, it's like a branching pattern of sorts starts from that crossroads, and all these different roads start forming, not just the road you choose to walk on, but all the possible roads you could have walked on. And behind you are all the choices you could have made, as well as the choices you did make. But all these choices are not just possibilities, not just things you could have done or could do, but things that to an extent are real. What makes it even crazier is that your super mind is connected to everybody else's. This is a collective thing. This is not just your root system. All of our root system, quote unquote, we're all connected. And it's in this realm of what we call possibilities. That's where our power as a collective comes from, is that our own thoughts can form this mind-boggling, infinite root system of reality. And that's hard enough for us to conceptualize, but take yourself up and look down on it. We're all connected. That's a lot to take in, but that's why it's our supermind. And I'm sitting here at this particular crossroads saying, oh, I'm thinking about the supermind right now. What roads am I forming at this very moment? I don't know. Think about it.
Jenny, welcome back to Time of Spirituality. How are you doing?
Great. How are you, Daniel?
I'm good. I'm excited for this one today. Happy to have you back. And
Yeah.
Yay! So this will be your third episode.
Yeah.
You're my most frequent guest at this point.
Oh my goodness.
Right? Isn't it cool?
Yes.
Want to just remind everyone, who was Jenny?
I was featured on episode 21 and 22 of Timeless Spirituality. I call myself a creative mystic. I'm a multimedia artist, I guess. I work with a lot of spiritual practitioners getting their work out into the world in the more techie and visual way, including some of Daniel's clips on his Instagram.
The ones that look good. The other ones are the ones that I do. So
Thank you. But yeah, I guess you can learn more about me on those previous episodes.
well, thank you for that. And thank you for doing such a great job for cutting my good looking clips. He's just going to make it very clear. It's very apparent which ones you do and which ones I do on my own. So
Thanks.
I highly
appreciate
recommend working with Jenny if anyone needs any clips cut or any multimedia needs. She's good. And she also works with Danny, that witch next door. And if you look at Danny's stuff, it's phenomenal. So I think
I
Jenny
don't
may
know how
have
much credit I can take for that. She has an amazing brand designer as well. So it's a collaborative effort.
Oh, speaking of that, I also do need to give a shout out to my designer for my podcast artwork, who is Christian Bradley West, the country clairvoyant. Amazing artwork as well. So when you said designer, that spurred that on.
Yeah,
me.
and I took all the inspiration for your clips from his design. So thank you, Christian.
Oh, he's so good.
Yeah.
So good. Okay, before I go down that rabbit hole too far, today we're here for more questions, more interview questions. And I'm so excited for that because I love being asked questions and getting to talk about it. And what's different about this episode, I don't know the questions ahead of time. I just thought it'd be really cool if I was just hearing them for the first time when Jenny's asking them and then seeing what comes up. Because, I mean, not that I really prepared last time, but yeah, just wanted to try something different. Live it on the edge a little bit. So I'm going to hand over the microphone to Jenny, who is now host for the episode. So Jenny, what you got?
Thank you. Welcome to Timeless Spirituality. I'm Jenny Sherman, and I'm delighted to be interviewing Daniel, the past life regressionist, with some questions we have about time and quantum healing and past life regression, and for all the huge fans out there, questions about Daniel himself. So today we're talking about two of your favorite things, time and Daniel. So thank you for joining me, and thank you for being vulnerable with me today.
Wow. Okay.
First question, are you ready?
Yeah.
You can process that at another time.
Okay, that may affect the way I answer these questions. But
Everything's going to be great. We all
I'm
love
ready.
you so much. We all love you so much. You hold a very special place in all of our hearts. We love you just as much as you love you.
Thank you, Jenny.
Daniel, what is your favorite song about time and why?
My favorite song about time is Drive by Incubus. And the reason for that is because I believe it's a song that saved my life when I was younger. I was going through a really tough time when I was a teenager, just like everyone else goes through it. And when that song came out, it reminded me, because the lyrics to the chorus especially are, whatever tomorrow brings, I'll be there with open arms and open eyes. So it was that reminder that everything was going to be okay tomorrow. Tomorrow was a brand new day. I mean, something I haven't talked about on the show yet is I do have a tattoo.
Ooh.
And it is on my right shoulder, and it is those lyrics. Or whatever tomorrow brings, I'll be there.
Amazing. That's lovely. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
That's
Ironically,
a great song.
you're the first person to ask me that question.
Well, that's why we have these episodes, don't we?
I've been asking that question on the show. I mean, we're recording this in July of 2022. So it's crazy that it's been 8 months, and you're the first person to ask me that.
Well, that's the nature of podcasts, right?
Yeah.
It's usually not the guest to turn it back around on you, but that's
That's a good point.
That's what I'm here for.
I like what
All
you
right.
did there, having that be the first question also. That was good.
Hey, there you go. I had a little, I mean, I knew I was going to do that anyway, but I had a little nudge from our friend Annie too. She wanted to make sure that was.
Aw,
in there.
hey, Annie.
Yeah. Shout out to Annie. We missed this one in our last episode. It was listed in the questions, but we didn't actually answer it. This is about past life regression. And at the end of past life regressions, we talk to the higher self. We go to the higher self portion. So how many types of higher self are there? Is it all one thing? Is it the subconscious, the superconscious, ancestors, spirit guides, angels, other dimensional vibrational beings, or aliens? Or what else has come through during the higher self portion? And just to say, I've talked to a few other people with past life regressions. That's not just me, that we each have different higher selves that come through in our higher self portion for our own sessions.
I think the first part that's important to distinguish there is the difference between the subconscious and the superconscious.
Mm-hmm.
I frankly haven't quite figured that one out yet.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to educate us.
it's a feeling of there being something deeper with the superconscious, because even when the subconscious is being called forward, or the superconscious for that matter, when it's time for it to come up during the session, we're asking the subconscious to come forward, but it's really the superconscious. So what is the subconscious? What is superconscious? I think it's something much different. Like I said, I haven't quite figured that one out yet, because I don't feel that a conventional definition really suits it well to distinguish what they are. And maybe there was, I don't know, just a certain level of modern cleverness tapped onto the superconscious. Maybe not. It's one of those things I still haven't quite figured out yet. I just trust that it's coming from a good place. And I don't care what the name is. It's like, that's one of my pitfalls when it comes to these things. I don't care, because when I call the subconscious forward, if it's a superconscious comes forward, great. I just know the protocols and I follow them. And yeah, it's probably the horrible answer for me to give there, but whatever.
Well, I remember in one episode you described someone's higher self as like really moving you or vibrating you or really like shaking you. So what was the difference between like the quality of that kind of higher self versus someone else's higher self?
I believe the episode that you're referring to, well, there was two of them where I talked about that. One of them was the gift of the crying vacation, which I believe was episode 7, if I remember correctly. And that was with Tangi.
Tangi, yeah.
And then there was, what the hell did I call that one? That was like one of the funny titles. The episode.
The giraffe?
The giraffe in E.T. or.
Yeah. Something like that.
At a coffee shop or something. That I did with Kelsey. I described it in that one as well. Those felt more intergalactic to me. It felt like a different presence. Look, whether or not it was or not, I don't know. But when something intergalactic comes through, it gives me a different feeling. Like, I guess the best example I can give you with that also is the Galila Collective, who I had on for episodes, what was that, 33 and 34? When I work with them, there's a feeling that I can feel. And you feel it more in the solar plexus. And it's a very tingly feeling. Now, I feel at this point, I've been doing this for 6 years. I've interacted with enough collectives to really start to identify the difference of the feeling that I receive. They really vary in intensity. Like the ones with Tangi and Kelsey, those felt very similar to each other. I think, the words that came out of my mouth were, holy shit. Whereas with the Galila Collective, it's a euphoric feeling. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, there's something here. But it's not that, whoa, something is shaking me right now feeling. So.
Wild.
That comes through. I mean, or intergalactic collectives. I think there are, what I refer to, like individual beings that come through as well. Although, who knows what's really going on the other side in our perception of oneness, or what's individualized souls or entities or beings.
Yeah.
But there are beings that just come through and identify themselves as something more singular. So that happens. What were the other ones that you brought up?
Angels, ancestors, spirit guides.
Spirit guides, I see that more hand in hand with the higher self. Mm-hmm. Not always, but I kind of lump them into the same category.
Kind of a secular term.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's that presence that's watching out for you, that's always there with you, knows everything about you. I don't feel that big bam when they come through. But there is that moment of exhilaration for me every time that they do come through, because I'm like, yes, it worked. Because,
How about on the receiving end? Has your higher self kind of evolved or shifted over your sessions?
When I allow my higher self to.
You give it a hard time, huh?
I do sometimes. I've gotten better. It's difficult for me to let go of control, which is why I also think that it's very helpful for me to be able to sympathize with my clients when they're having difficulty allowing themselves to go there, because I understand how difficult it can be to let go. And for me, what I've noticed is things haven't really changed when it comes to my higher self when I let my higher self come through. I'm getting much better at that, because I think I've talked about this on the show before, how when I'm having my own sessions and it's time for the higher self to come forward, I have to remind myself, you need to let this happen. And that's what I'm
You
saying
need
to
to
myself.
allow yourself to remind yourself to allow yourself to remind yourself to allow yourself.
Exactly. And I think what that also does is help me phase out the process, because I don't want to critique whoever is dropping me in or bringing me in, because, I know the process by heart. So if they're missing a word, I'm going to notice it. If they're doing something different than I would do, then I notice it. So by me drowning that out, and I'm giving myself the commands at the same time too.
Yeah. I'd say for me, I've had a few different things like non-formed entities and entities of light. And I also have a few ancestors that are, passed away that I can see vividly coming and visiting me. But I also don't have like a particular religion I'm tied to either. So I wonder if people with certain religions tend to see their religious figures more too.
They do, which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
I'm okay with adjusting the terminology to whatever someone feels comfortable with.
Yeah.
As long as I'm getting the feeling that it's something good, which I don't really encounter negative things too often. I mean, it does happen from time to time, but usually not when it's the higher self coming. It's never a negative entity speaking through someone who I'm doing a session with. I've never encountered that before. So terminology, again, it's irrelevant to me because I'm just focused on how is this supposed to help whoever this is. So even if someone who was super religious, evangelical Christian came to me, I don't know why they would if they were an active evangelical Christian, because I have had people who have stepped away from the church. But even if one of them were to come and do a session with me and they wanted to say, Jesus, come through it. All right, cool. Tell him I say hi.
Yeah.
If he's here to help, awesome.
Yeah, I like to think of it like that scene in Contact. Have you seen that movie with Jodie Foster?
Mm-hmm.
Where she goes to the wormhole and it lands in Pensacola and sees, I think it's her dad,
Yeah.
but it's the alien being saying we wanted to be in the form that you would find most comforting or most recognizable to you. So I kind of think of a lot of the past life stuff that comes through is sort of like that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's amazing you mentioned Contact, because that's one of those movies that really started to open my eyes up to the potential for these things to be
Yeah, it's one of my favorite
possibility.
movies.
It's such a beautiful movie too.
Yeah.
It really was. Yeah, you're right. Especially that scene at the end. Look, the movie came out 25 years ago, so if you guys haven't seen it yet, sorry.
We're a little old.
Great movie though, nonetheless. Watch it up until that point, and there are still going to be some curveballs thrown at you even past that point on the beach. Depending on what method I'm incorporating into the session, ancestors can come through. Now, the question also is, what's an ancestor?
Right.
If your grandmother has passed away and they come through, is she considered an ancestor at that point because she's someone who's come before? Or is an ancestor someone who you've never met? Is an ancestor something entirely different? So, I mean, what's your feeling on that?
I was using the term ancestor to also mean departed family members, departed loved ones in your own life. But yeah, you're right. Terminology can definitely vary. I just think it's really interesting for people who haven't done a regression before to consider what their higher self might come through as is, and not to be afraid of it. It's actually a peaceful and enjoyable experience.
I agree. I think it's really important not to come in with an expectation, because even when it comes to the departed ones, it's not always part of the process to bring them forward. But sometimes I get that feeling where I'm supposed to take my client somewhere, because there's this feeling I get that someone wants to speak with them. And then I just let whoever that being or presence may be come through to speak with them. And of course, there are other protocols that are followed before that point, but
yeah, and mine came through actually when we were doing our group progression, because I do want to ask about the difference between group and one-on-one sessions, but I did the event with Meta Nova Girl, and it was specific for that one that I needed, support around my family, and I had a family member come through in that one. So I think it's like you say, you'll see what you need to see in your session, and what needs to come through for that one will be tailored specifically to what's in your highest good for that moment.
I couldn't agree more. And I also think it's probably important to point out that I'm not a medium or someone who's well-versed in summoning specific departed ones. I believe that family member came through for you because they were willing to play ball.
And I already have a connection with them. So it's the person who's participating as well.
Exactly. Because I do believe that they still have consciousness over there on the other side. And that if they're off, playing shuffleboard or something like that, then maybe like
or a piece of the soul, a piece of the spirit, whatever it is.
Yeah. But I do believe that they have to be willing to play ball as well.
For sure. Do you still get the post-regression glow?
You mean for my own personal ones or when I facilitate?
When you receive.
Not the way that I used to.
That's a bigger bang in the beginning, huh?
It consumed me at the beginning. I couldn't think of anything else.
Yeah.
And this lasted for a very long time, but that wasn't healthy. It wasn't healthy for me at all. I believe it was necessary, though, because I understand the experience of someone who is consumed by these things. And since I've gone through it, I can say, hey, I understand, but we're here right now. Because what that really made me do was want to check out even more than I already had.
Okay.
But again,
for you, it was like a bypassing.
Exactly. But I just need to reiterate. I believe I needed to experience that so I could understand it. So like with the post-regression glow that I get now, it's more a call to action. I'm not so much in this space of, oh my God, that was amazing. Wow, wow, wow. Now it's more when I come back, I'm like, yeah, that just happened. And I'm like, okay, so what am I going to do with that now? Oh, wait, going to go eat something really quick. Then what am I going to do with it?
Well, I want to clarify too. For me, it was like after our session, I just went to sleep for 12 hours. And it was the following like 2 or 3 days that I kind of felt like I had just had a great drug trip or something. And I'm not like a user. I'm too sensitive to use drugs, but I just felt really mellow. I felt like I felt like I had let go of a lot of burden that I was carrying and just had a little bit more distance to have a more detached perspective. And I was less clinging to some of these things that were bothering me. And it didn't stay forever. It's not like a permanent fix, but it was a wonderful perspective to be able to practice coming back to. So when people have this post-regression glow, if you see people talking about it, it's just like that feeling you get when you're like, I just have a little more distance from this small, closed world I've been stressing out in. And now I can expand a little bigger. And maybe you're more used to it now. So it's just another Tuesday, just another part of your life.
Well, I think it's really important to point out too that post-regression glow lasted a lot longer than a few days for me the first time. But I think the difference between the two of us is that when you first had a session with me, you had done a lot more work on yourself than I had.
Oh yeah, I've been on this journey a long time.
After my first regression, it was like that wave came through and just pushed a lot of stuff out of the way. And I did feel so much lighter. But when the waters receded, that's when I got hit with a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
And I refused to, I guess the best analogy I can really give you is a tsunami.
Right.
It felt like the water was pulling out to sea. And we're just like, oh, wow, look at the beach is clear. Isn't this nice? And then, bam, then just getting hit with that big wave.
Yeah.
And then getting hit with the second one and the third one, because, a tsunami never just comes with one wave.
So what we're saying is the post-regression glow is the calm before the storm of the actual inner work you have to do after a regression.
Yes, but, okay. I think another one just came to mind for me right now.
Okay.
When a tsunami is coming in, boats are told to leave the harbor and move out to sea. They don't even need to go super duper far out. They just need to go past the part where, the waves start to crest, which is basically my way of saying, if you go out towards the tsunami, then you're not going to get slammed by it. So that's why I always say to everyone, this is just a matter of you receiving the information, then it's up to you what you decide to do with it. Now, in that first session, all the information that I needed was given to me, but there were parts of it that I decided to take away from it and other parts that I didn't want to look at. And those were the tsunami parts. Those were the parts that hit me so hard. So had I just taken my boat out to sea and done the work, now, in order to get out there, you still got to turn your engine on or throw your sails up. So there's still work that needs to happen. But I would have prevented myself, potentially, from getting smacked many times after that post-regression glow. So I don't want anyone to feel like it's an absolute that you're going to have that, because it's up to you whether or not you decide to apply the information that's been given to you.
Yeah, and I think that nice, loving feeling you get afterwards is that little holding space that's like, actually, everything's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can work on these things if they seem important to your path. And I had the same thing happen. I went down the path of trying to resolve some interpersonal stuff in my life and came up against roadblocks for it. And then I had a little existential crisis of, oh my gosh, does this mean that there's a block to me resolving some of my karma? And then I was like, well, maybe the lesson is to accept it and let it go. And I wondered if you had any thoughts of that, of things that you've seen that you're like, oh, this is something I need to resolve, but actually the pieces in life around you aren't there for resolution to actually be a thing.
That is an amazing question.
Thanks.
I almost felt like a politician there. Thank you for that amazing question. I'm going to take a moment to answer that. But thank you for that question. Oh, stop stalling, which is exactly what I'm doing right now. Yeah, squirrel. I'm going to answer it in a sort of mysterious way.
Okay, leave a little teaser.
Oftentimes in my sessions, I will get a heads up of things that are coming down the road for me. And I think it's more of a way for me to mentally prepare myself and to accept that these things are coming down. So when they do present themselves, I may not be ready for it entirely, but it's not just going to blindside me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very helpful for someone like me, because I don't like abrupt change.
Yeah.
I don't like to be jolted. I like to know what's coming. And I feel like that's almost my higher self's way of looking out for me and giving me the heads up of what's to come, because I'm the type of person who more than likely will shut down if I'm bombarded by too much change.
Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers the question entirely of, me receiving, but not having the system in place at the time to implement what's being given to me.
I think the perspective I was taking was, I'm a soul warrior, and if I don't solve this problem, I'm not resolving my karma or doing the job that I came here to do. I guess that's a very single-minded achievery kind of tendency. Whereas you're saying the information is more of a heads up. It's not like a mission you have to conquer. It's more about having the awareness around it.
That's the way I look at it now. But part of that wave that I was talking about earlier, getting hit by that tsunami, that was my mindset of the mission is everything. Purpose is everything. Yeah. Everything else be damned. I'm not going to look at anything else. So those were the waves that hit me, because my mind was just focused on one thing, which was got to save the world, got to save the earth, got to save the collective consciousness, got to uplift the soul of humanity so we're able to rise and ascend to the 27,000th dimension.
That's a lot. I mean, I totally relate to that. That's way too much that we put on ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah. And what I realized was I was in no position to help anyone in that way. Now, the irony is I was also a practitioner at this point. So, I mean, it wasn't until a year into me being a practitioner where I started to really realize, oh, I'm a damn fool. I've been.
The teacher is always
myself.
the student, right? There's always more to know and more to grow.
I also think about the clients that I had at the time, and I don't think the way that I viewed the world had any bearing, or the world or my purpose for that matter, had any bearing on the outcome of their sessions, because I was still in a place where I was fully well aware I was doing my best to figure things out. So I didn't want to give anyone wrong information or bad advice based off of this theory I had. I couldn't prove any of these things, so...
You're just the guy that asked the questions.
Exactly. So I still had the discipline at the time to know that I still didn't know, which I think is something that's very needed in this space, is that discernment between belief and knowing. It's wrong when people in a position like me treat beliefs as facts. I think it is so wrong to do that, because people listen to us because of the positions that we're in. And it's incredibly irresponsible to spew beliefs as facts because people will latch on to them. So this is me begging people who are listening right now. Although if you're the type of person that's going to, spew beliefs as facts, I probably lost you on this podcast a long time ago. So you're probably not here for this. But also for everyone listening, be careful. Be aware of those people who are out there spewing beliefs as facts. Use your discernment because they're just like, maybe they are highly evolved and on the right track, or maybe they're just caught up in their own bullshit. Yeah. And this is them trying to make sense of everything and trying, maybe not consciously bringing you along for the ride, but they are.
The best mystical teachers I've met are all the biggest skeptics as well. They're the people that have tried over and over again to prove one modality or another wrong and just haven't been able to do it yet. So they end up being an amazing mystical teacher. So I guess that kind of leads into the question of, from the work you've done with past life progressions and what you think it shows people about their next steps and how they might make changes or make decisions or grow or evolve or not. Do you think it's more important on our life journeys? This is your opinion. It's not like a fact. It's a Daniel opinion. Do you think it's more important on our life journeys what you do and what you accomplish, or how you are being?
I almost did the politician thing again. But these really are good questions.
Thank you for your question.
I'm just going to say it every time if it's a great question. That's fine. Mean, even if I don't say it, it doesn't mean, okay, now I'm just talking myself into a corner.
I'll take it.
It really is a great question. I think it's a matter of how you do it. When we look at the material world, some of the titans of industry are some of the most ruthless people out there. Some of the people who are accomplishing the most in the material sense are the biggest pieces of shit on the planet. Are they getting there solely with integrity, or are they getting there by stepping on people? Even on a more personal level, what is a true accomplishment? Is it something that exists outside the material world, or is the accomplishment in and of itself how you approach a situation and how you deal with that situation? Because as time is going on and as I'm becoming more and more familiar with astrology, I'm a firm believer in free will. Firmly believe in it. But I'm really strongly believing that some events are just fated. Yeah. And it's a matter of how do we deal with those fated events? Like that's where the free will comes into play. Yeah. So I think to answer the question, I think it's just more important. And just like Jenny said, this is my belief. It's just a matter of how you approach it. Do you approach it with integrity? I also don't believe that any human is truly selfless. Mm-hmm. I don't believe that. Even if someone is truly selfless on a conscious level, that doesn't necessarily factor in the subconscious level. And what I mean by that is I believe that subconsciously we know that when we do good things, that we're racking up the karma points, or we're crossing things off of our list. We're balancing out our misdeeds from the past. So therefore we're springing forward.
I don't think it's so much that we each have an individual ledger as it is that our subconscious knows that we're all actually connected. We're all part of the same web. So what I do to you affects me in that way because we actually are all part of the same juice. So I don't necessarily think it's one soul, one ledger, but that's my belief.
I believe you're right in a world of non-duality, which I think we live in a world primarily of duality, but I believe that the non-dualistic nature exists here as well. Yeah. And I'm going to be doing a whole episode on that in the new season. It's going to be something because I recently had a session where a lot of information came forward about non-duality versus duality. And it's
I'm so
something
excited
else.
A teaser. We got a teaser.
It's good stuff.
I'm excited to hear about that. Well, our next question is from our friend Randy from episode 32.
Hey, Randy. Watching Lincoln speak.
I'm going to read his question, but I'm also going to follow it up for some clarifying information. Okay. So Randy's question is, how often do you run into star seeds during your sessions? And what is the most important information that you've learned from them that you can share? And what I want to add to that is if you can inform our audience of what your belief about what a star seed is. And just give us a little more clarification on that.
So as I understand it, a starseed is a soul that comes from elsewhere, where its origins may not be on Earth, that it may come from another star system, they may come from another planet, another dimension, another universe, but that it just has its origins elsewhere. And that starseeds are here to help uplift the consciousness of humanity and take us out of some dark hole, which is pretty evident that we are in a bit of a dark hole. We've been there for a very long time.
Yeah.
And my belief is that I do believe in it. I do. However, I also believe that if you're a starseed, it doesn't matter. I know it's going to piss a lot of people off. Yeah, you came from somewhere else. You're here now. You're on Earth now. You're human now. So be human. Be here to be human. If you're bringing something else in with you, awesome. Apply it to your humanity. Be human. From what I also understand about starseeds is they volunteered for this. They volunteered on a soul level to come here. So you guys volunteered to come to Earth and be human. So be human.
Does that mean that the information coming in from the star seeds is that they're telling you they're important?
Not all of them. What some of them tell me, though, is that that's all that matters.
Okay.
And I can also speak from personal experience because those waves I was talking about, those were some of the waves that I was getting hit by because I had an over-identification with starseeds. And there's an idea or a theory put forth by Dolores Cannon, who was one of the pioneers of past life regression, that there are these things called imprints. And what an imprint is, well, the theory goes that in order to be able to really operate on Earth, you need to be here for a while to understand the ins and outs of it. So someone living in a big city probably has a lot of lives underneath their belt because like they work their way up to it. They may start in somewhere very isolated. Like if a new soul were to come in right now, they may start in some indigenous tribe in some untouched, remote part of the world where they are isolated and all they need to do is wake up in the morning, gather some water, and gather some berries or something like that. And maybe they'll work their way up to hunter in another life. Then maybe they work their way up the ladder. And it's all those experiences that they need underneath their belt and able to be able to function here. So with starseeds, I think the idea is that they are placed everywhere in the world. Now, I'll say this about starseeds, at least from my clients, they pop up in places where you wouldn't expect because there are a lot of closeted spiritual people out there. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking about in the professions. Just think of any left brain profession. I have clients in those professions. Yeah. And a lot of them see themselves as starseeds. So it's this indication that they have come here to maybe influence those around them in one way or another on a more micro level, but maybe that has an effect on a macro level.
And what do you mean by influence? What kind of influence?
For people who are sensitive to energy, if you're around certain people, you can either feel their light or you can feel the heaviness and the darkness. Mm-hmm. That's because people are aware of that. I mean, those who are sensitive to energy. But just because someone isn't aware or sensitive to energy doesn't mean that those people aren't still giving off energy. So everyone, I believe, is influenced by someone else's energy in one way or another.
Right.
So I think it's the idea that some of these people who are in these left brain professions, it's about the others who are around them and there being a subtle variance in energy that is shifting things for them because of that, let's just say, starseed being around them. But they're there to live a human life and live a human existence.
The starseeds are radiating a different frequency of energy that may or may not have some sort of effect on the other people around them.
That's the theory. I won't say whether or not it's an absolute because I don't know. It looks to be that way. What I also see with those quote unquote starseeds, I think they're the ones who approach it the best way, which is not over-identifying with it. Of course, there is an inner battle that is taking place there because their whole world is being rattled because they come from this very left brain school of thought to then really being tugged to the right side. But they're not out there, holding signs. I don't know if they're having starseed rallies yet, but
so they're not necessarily bringing you any specific type in they're not specifically bringing you some important information.
They do. Look,
If you have something you can say right now that will save the world, Daniel, it is your prerogative to do so.
I believe that on some level, everyone is a starseed.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that we just start as a soul on Earth. The other thing is when it comes to the information, and this usually, well, it comes out either during the regression part or with the higher self. I mean, usually there are indications during the actual past life regression. Mm-hmm. But I don't focus on that. I don't ask those questions because how is that going to help the person who I'm working with? You know, that's something that does bother me that I've heard from people who have worked with other practitioners is they say that this person just starts asking a bunch of questions about things that are completely irrelevant to the person that they're regressing.
Yeah, I definitely stated that on my internal form that I did not want anyone coming through to tell Daniel some book selling secrets during my regression.
Which is something that I have nothing but respect for. Even when some of this information comes forward, I'm trying to swing it back to my client. I'm trying to make it relevant to my client. And then the higher self's like, no, we're going this way. I'm like, all right, I'll strike a deal with you then. Let's find a way for you to give us this information while making it relevant to the person that I'm working with.
Yeah.
Now, I'll go a little bit into some of that, but I also think it's really important to point out that while I really firmly believe in this process, I can never rule out the possibility that there is a conscious projection taking place.
Right.
And that this person wants to be a starseed so badly and wants to have this session to be able to say that they were able to bring this information forward so badly that they're not just regurgitating some bullshit they saw on Instagram. Now, I don't believe that to be the case, but I can never rule it out.
Yeah.
Although I have encountered some stuff where I'm just like, there's no way. There is no way. And look, I hear a lot of stuff.
I know. I mean, just listening to your podcast episodes, it's been amazing to me. Like, I'm very used to like dream work and like psychology work, and this is different. It goes in different ways than you would expect from like just a subconscious kind of psychology kind of trajectory in terms of dreams or things like that. Like it's a different essence. Very interesting.
I say a lot of the information coming forward though, I probably backed away from the mic there. A lot of the information coming forward has to do with there is a shift taking place on Earth right now.
Yeah.
We are dealing with something different energetically than we've ever dealt with before, or at least in a very long time, in that people are here to make those changes. But as someone who believes that I do have my origins elsewhere, I can tell you, I don't think my work truly started until I decided to take a step back and really work on myself, because without taking a couple of years to really do that, which I was still working as a past life regressionist in that time, but it was the great eclipse of 2017 that really came in and kicked my ass and really made me take a step back and say, you know what, I need to work on myself a bit. There are things that I need to look at that are very painful to look at. And I'm not saying stuff that's super traumatic, but just stuff that that had its origins elsewhere. And when I say elsewhere, I mean in other past lives, but where I refused to look at how it was playing out in my current incarnation. I'm talking about stuff that's very basic, but still very painful, because the way that I look at someone's pain is someone can cry at the sight of a Tic Tac falling and hitting the floor. And someone can look at that person crying and say, that's ridiculous that they're crying because a Tic Tac hit the floor. I look at it as there's a reason that person is having that type of reaction to a Tic Tac hitting the floor. It's real to them. There is a real emotion getting stirred up. So it's real. It doesn't matter how ridiculous it may look. And I'm not saying I was crying when Tic Tacs would fall, but it was those types of things that had an impact on me that I needed to sit back and look at. And that's how I think I started to really sprint forward, was to first take those steps back. And I think it's why it's so important to really hit the brakes and evaluate your circumstances when these things come up and not just run into the fire. Figure your shit out first. But you can still be of service at the same time, because I was still doing sessions. I was still helping people. So I'm not saying you need to go live in a cave, but just be aware of where you're at and look at the things that are hard to look at.
Yeah. And to follow up with that, like, what kind of therapeutic work do you prefer to use outside of past life regression? And what kind of modalities and spiritual practices or therapy methods do you use to kind of move through that? That's, first of all, I just want to say thank you for looking at your stuff and doing the work. It's very admirable.
I'm glad to help humanity by looking at my own shit.
Yes, we can all do that.
First and foremost, I've been in therapy for 20 years. However, I don't know if I talked about this on an episode that's already been released or one that I have coming up. I may have been in therapy for the last 20 plus years, but I didn't really start therapy until about 3 or 4 years ago. When I say that, I mean, I would just talk about bullshit in therapy. I was looking for validation as to why I was so smart, or why I had these prognostication abilities, why I could see anything coming from a mile away. It's like, tell me how amazing. Remember that thing I told you about, Doc, 6 months ago? You see it happening now? See, I was right. Why am I so amazing? Why am I so wonderful? Why am I so gifted? Why am I so talented? That's what I would do in therapy. And then I hit that point where I'm like, you know what? I need to start looking at these things. I really need to start talking about my problems in the here and now. And So at that time, I started with a new therapist, and I said to her, 75% of the time, I want to focus on what's come before today. And 25% of the time, we can talk about things that are coming up right now. Because, things are going to come up that I need to address. But I want to primarily look at my childhood. I want to look at these things that I refused to look at before. And I think that's what started to change things for me. Then I started doing, I attempted to do shadow work before that. Mm-hmm. I attempted to do shadow work around the time of that eclipse back in 2017, and I attempted to do it for the next year and a half. Didn't go so well. Still very resistant. Yeah. Because even though I was aware that I needed to take a step back, my mindset, no. I remember these words that I'm about to share with you guys came out of my mouth before the eclipse. Because I was in a class that was about shadow work. And the topic of shadow work came up for this class. It was a class, actually, it was called Contemplation and Inquiry. When it came around to me, maybe not verbatim, but the gist of what I said is, I don't need to look at those things. I know my purpose. That's a waste of time. That's what actually came out of my mouth. I kid you not. I wasn't ready.
Most of us around, in our 20s have some of that going on.
Oh, I was 31 at that point.
Well, you were, took you a little longer. Maybe.
I'm a late bloomer. Look, I run into people in their 60s who still won't look at those things.
True. No, so right. It's not really an age thing.
So yeah, then I primarily focused on just good old therapy for a couple of years. And then is when I really dove more into a different kind of shadow work, which was shadow work through astrology. Mm-hmm. I've been working with my shadow work coach now, Riss, for the last, Riss from All My Ancestors, who I've had her on an IG Live, and I'm having her on the show too. I've been working with her for a year and a half now. And I think what's different about working with an astrologer who specializes in shadow work is they can see the issues coming up for you in your chart. I believe the limitations of therapy are that you simply have to have an awareness of the things that are coming up.
Right. You can only dredge up what you can see.
Exactly. In the act of talking about these things, you may become aware of more things, but you really need to be aware in order to bring it up to your therapist. Whereas working with someone who has a background in astrology, they can see the things that are hidden from you. And I think that's what started to make a change for me as well, because I started to evaluate different behavior patterns that I just wasn't aware of. And I think the third component that's really helped me is the podcast. I've been recording now for a year. I started recording 4 months before I launched. But with recording comes editing. With editing comes listening to yourself spew a bunch of shit. I want to say, not like, bad information, but like, oh my God, did I just say that? Really? Did I just say that right now? Come on. And the problem with that is I realize these things while I'm editing. I'm like, I still got to put this episode out though, because well, it's a reflection of where I was. There's good stuff in there. But it's hearing those things come up for me where I realize, oh, like the one that really did it for me was episode 31 or 32. I want to say the one I did, the Mirror of Time 3 validation, where I was quite literally seeking validation. Said it, I owned it. And while I was editing that, I was just like, what the hell? What the hell? What is wrong with me? This is absurd. Am I really going to these lengths to seek validation? Does it make it okay that I said that I'm doing it? I'm like, because to me, that was the loophole, or that's what made it okay. Was, hey, I'm owning it. I'm doing what other people want to do, is owning it. No, that didn't make it better. If anything, that almost made it worse because I had an awareness that I was doing this thing, and I'm like, I'm still going to do it anyways. So the podcast has really helped me grow as well because it helps me see those things. And it also holds me accountable because I'm putting it out there for the world to see me on this journey as I continue to grow. Because I took a road trip 2 weeks ago to drive up to Northern California, and I was listening to the first couple episodes. It's like, damn, I've come a long way since I recorded those. Like, I've really grown. And where I think I saw that I really have grown in that respect is I see myself taking more chances now as a podcast host. Where I was playing it really safe at the beginning. Now, it may not appear that way to everyone because I air my episodes out of order. But for the first recordings, I was playing it really safe. And then while I was editing, seeing like, hey, you're playing it too safe. So to me, editing just serves as, it's a time of reflection. What's being brought up for me in real time. So if you feel the urge to go start a podcast, anyone who's listening, it's a great tool of growth if you allow it to be. And,
Go ahead.
With regards to other spiritual practices, I don't really have any. And now, I think that's because I still put a lot of stock in past life regression, because as we talked about before we hit record today, I'm having my own session tonight, which is something I still do every 2 to 3 months. I still learn a lot that way because I think that's a deeply spiritual practice. But other than that, I feel that going down the spiritual practice road would take me away from good old therapy and good old shadow work at this point. And I don't want to be taken away from that now because I feel like I've really found a way to strike a good balance of not getting too sucked into it and not letting it consume my world while being able to function and evaluate these things and reflect, period.
That's great. I think that's just a great help because I know you don't want to necessarily steer your clients after a session into giving them directions on what to do afterwards. But hearing from you what kinds of things you use to process it and move forward and develop yourself, I think can be really helpful. And allowing the space for everyone to find what works for them too, because you're not out there prescribing shadow work and therapy for everyone.
Not everyone.
You're very adamant that, everyone needs to trust in what they think is the next right steps for them.
Although I do recommend it
Yes.
oftentimes at the end of a session.
Yeah.
But when I recommend it, it's not a slight against anyone. It's
Right.
If anything, it's my faith in them that they have what it takes to do that work, because it's not easy work.
Yeah.
So there are some people I'm like, I just don't think that they're ready for it. So I'm not going to suggest it. Now, also, that doesn't mean that if you do a session with me and I don't recommend shadow work, that I don't think that you're up to the task. It may just mean that I don't know if that's for you right now. It feels like you've done a lot of work, or maybe next time we talk, but it is something that I do recommend very often.
Yeah. And you kind of jumped the gun on this, but I was going to ask you 8 months into your podcasting career, how you're finding the experience. You kind of answered that already, but maybe if you want to go into any more about what you have plans for Timeless Spirituality, or if there's anything else you'd like to say about having your podcast and Timeless Spirituality in general.
We'll be a little more specific with the questions.
What's coming up for Timeless Spirituality?
More of my story. More of my past lives. I have an episode, and I don't know when this episode we're recording right now is going to be aired. So at this point, I may have aired an episode where I go into depth about one of my past lives, one that I teased in the first episode of this season. And I'm going to be sharing more of my past lives as the show goes on. So buckle up for those. Some of them will be very tame and others, well, as you guys heard in the episode I released, well, I guess as Jenny has heard in the episode I released last week, it was episode 35, titled Slow Down Tomorrow Because Today is Slipping Away. I talked about a rather ruthless life that I lived. So more of those as well, but also some really good ones. And yeah, so I mean, the reason why that's a space of confusion for me with regards to how much do I share is because, one, the feeling of I want to keep this podcast going for a very long time.
Good.
So if I just throw everything out there at the beginning, is it going to be sustainable to continue to reveal new tidbits? Because I don't know how quickly new tidbits will come in. And then, of course, there's also stuff that I just don't want to share. Not because I'm afraid of sharing it, because I don't know how it would help anyone.
Yeah. Is it
like
relevant?
that? Like, that's why I share these things, is because if I feel that it can help someone, then I'll share them. Like with regards to the starseed stuff, I don't know how that would help anyone if I shared my experiences in detail, at least. I mean, maybe I'll make a comment in passing here and there, like, oh yeah, I remember when I was a giant grasshopper. But there has to be a reason for it, for me to share. It can't be a matter of vanity. And
What about entertainment?
look, I can make a very boring life entertaining if I wanted to juice it up. But there is, like, that life that I teased in the first episode of the season. The line that I'm straddling right now is how that one doesn't cross into vanity. And, you know, it's tough because that's what I'm reckoning with. Because I think there's an argument to be made that the more vain you are, the more people are going to enjoy it. And while I want this to be an entertaining show, I also want it to be a show about substance. Like, I had a conversation with someone where we were talking about the types of guests that I would bring on. And in the karmic relationship episode, I believe, which is episode 20, at the beginning of it, I led with the dramatic reading of a video that I had seen on Instagram. It was about twin flames. It was just so off the wall.
Twin burners.
Twin burner one, yeah. So that's the kind of thing. So when I start going off, I start saying stuff like that, like twin burners, this and that. And so this person said to me, actually, it may have been Yasmin who said this to me, or maybe more than one, but I think Yasmin did say to me, you should have this person on the show. And I said, I can't do that. I as much as I want to invite this person on who made that video, so that will not end well. Because I will just tear that person to shreds, and I'm going to look like such an asshole in the process, even though most people would be cheering me on. But why? Why bring someone on just to tear them down? And I bring this up because that even made me think, I wonder if I could do a spiritual Jerry Springer show. That would be super entertaining. But then I'm like, you know what? Well, why? Why? Would I get huge numbers for that? Yeah, I probably would. But at what cost?
Yeah.
You know, I think that's probably even goes back to that question that you brought up earlier. I can't remember how you phrased it, but it was about what's more important, like the accomplishments or the way you go about doing things.
How you be or what you do.
Exactly. That was what I had to ponder with that one.
Yeah.
Is, will I accomplish a lot if I do that? You're damn right I will. I'll probably be, you know, because if I did a show like that, I would be off my leash. You guys may not know, like, this is me being very tame a lot of the time. I'm still, like, practicing a lot of self-restraint, but it's also the impulse for the future of the show to not take it in that direction. Because I do want to have people like that on.
Mm-hmm.
For anyone listening who hasn't listened to that episode yet, the concept of the video, I know you guys can't see me rolling my eyes right now, but it was talking about twin flame connections, which, look, I don't believe in twin flame concept necessarily. I can't say that it doesn't exist, but what was being perpetuated in this video was almost dangerous. This woman was basically saying, is it okay for me to say woman that way?
Yeah.
You never know. Because I don't want to say your name. That's the art. Because I don't want to.
Woman is better than female.
Okay, so the other problem I run into is when I did that recording at the beginning of that episode, that was my way of poking fun at it a bit and just being like, come on, like, let's lighten up a bit. Really? Are we going this overboard where we're looking at the world through this lens? Like, come on. Because what she was basically saying in the video is, these twin flame connections are coming together to be intimate, to open up portals, to raise the vibration of the crystalline grid, to rise the consciousness of humanity and Gaia up into the fifth dimension. What the hell? You're encouraging people to go have sex in the parking lot of a Burger King? Like, what are you doing?
I don't know. Starseed surgeons are doing it to their teams. And then why not?
That's the type of lunacy where, look, whether or not the twin flame thing exists, still, I don't know. But to tell people that you're going to be opening up portals, that is massively irresponsible, even if it's true. You don't just tell people that. You got to tell them to do it in a way where you're doing it in the privacy of your own home. If I were off my rocker, sorry, I hate to put it that way, and I heard that, I'd be like, okay, Burger King parking lot, hold my beer. I'm going to go, me and my twin flame, we're going to do it at home plate at Dodger Stadium. That way we're going to be open up the portal for 56,000 people. Hold my beer. Like, come on.
Everyone, you heard it here on Timeless Spirituality. Open your portals responsibly.
Yeah, that's what I'm advocating right now. But it's resisting the urge to go too far in that direction. I got such a kick out of doing that recording. I was over the moon when I added in sound effects to it. That's the other thing for the show. I've had people ask me, like, why do I bleep out some stuff and not bleep out other things? Like if I'm saying, 4-letter words, I'm doing it for my own amusement. That's it. It's strictly for my own amusement, because in the same episode, I'll bleep some words out and others I won't. It's just because I find it funny. So when you spend that long editing,
yeah,
it's just these little things. I'm like, oh my God, I'm the only one that's going to find this funny. No one else is going to understand what I'm doing, but I find it funny. So I'm trying to keep it fresh for me.
Yeah, and I think something that's really interesting about you, Daniel, which I think will come up in some of the discussions you have about your past lives. For me, it's so interesting to watch the dichotomy of these two personalities that you have. One that would love to just be outrageous and gain the attention by being outrageous. And then the other side of you that is completely devoted to really lifting other people up and contributing to the healing of people. And that constant push and pull between those two personalities with you, I think is super interesting to watch, both in how you are evolving personally and as a practitioner and as a podcaster and as an entertainer. And I love seeing the journey that you're on and find it so fascinating. So definitely come to me if you need help discerning the difference between some self-flagellation and some useful self stories, some useful, what do you call them? Memoirs.
Jenny's saying this because I already did that once. I already went to her with like, hey, is this a good idea? She's like, no. I'm like, okay, you're right. That's the short version of that story. Thank you for recognizing that, because that is the struggle for me. That life that I teased, and that one that I dive into extensively in an upcoming episode.
Yeah.
It's that constant struggle. It's a karmic thing for me of wanting to be out there, but being restrained at the same time. And I do believe that a balance can be struck. It's just a matter of finding that balance. So even when I said earlier about seeing how I was playing it too safe at the beginning, it's a matter also of how far off the rails can I go and still be professional? Because I do want to maintain a level of professionalism, because I think that's important. If you're going to do work that's this deep with someone, by the way, I'm not like this in sessions. Like, I may be lighthearted just to make you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
To break a tension that may be so thick that it's really needed in that moment to break the tension. But I'm not in the like, I'm there, I'm focused, I'm present, and I'm all about you.
Yeah, I can
But
attest to the fact that Daniel is excellent at holding space and being very trustworthy, and that you feel very, very safe in the sessions.
oh, thank you, Jenny.
It's true. The Taurus voice comes out in the sessions where you're just nice and low and calm and
Yeah.
soothing. We need some recorded past life regressionist meditations. I'm just putting it out there. Leave a comment on Instagram if you agree.
And that's the struggle too, is because I always want to be taken seriously as a past life regressionist. Ultimately, as I believe I talked about on the show, I want to be on stage doing these. I want to be doing group regressions for thousands of people. And in order to do that, I can't be a dud. I can't be your run-of-the-mill past life regression. Still, not that there's anything wrong with that, but I don't want to be your run-of-the-mill past life regressionist. Something I don't think I've talked about on the show is when I came on Instagram, which was in the spring of 2020, I had already been a past life regressionist for 4 years at that point. I had already been working on my craft for a while. And what I had to ask myself at that point was, how do I distinguish myself from the other thousands of practitioners that are out there? And yeah, I said thousands. There are thousands of practitioners across the world who are past life regressionists. Now, they're not all on Instagram and all on social media, but how do I distinguish myself? And I said to myself, well, you're just going to be the most normal one. You're just going to be yourself. Because I always need to be unique. It's a standard I hold myself to that's almost unreasonable, but I think it also makes me me. Even when you said, we need some recordings in the future with your voice, my initial thought went automatically to, well, how am I going to make that different than anyone else? Other than just it being in my voice, but it can't just be that. It's got to be.
You want to add a little creativity to it.
Exactly. That's where my mind goes right away, is how do I appear to be the most unique? Or not appear, but just how do I do it in my own unique way, in only a way that I can do it? Because others can try to replicate it. But like, that's something I pride myself on. Is look, you can see what I'm doing, you can admire it, and you can try to replicate it, but you won't. You can't.
We're all our own unique little snowflakes.
You can't be me because you're not. But that goes both ways, which is I can't be you because I'm not you. And I mean, that's, not just for Jenny, it's anyone who's out there doing, like, I can look at people who are doing their thing. They're like, that's cool. Like, I like that. Like, I wonder if I can do my own flavor of that.
Yeah.
But I can never be that person.
I don't think you'll ever be accused of being a dud, Daniel. I think you don't have to try so hard to be so unique. You are just Daniel, and you're doing an amazing job. One question I wanted to ask about that was about the music you have on Timeless Spirituality, because I just freaking love the intro.
I just want to answer one thing you said there really quick about I don't have to try too hard.
Yeah.
That was something I came to an understanding of while working with my shadow work coach, which was I don't need to try at all.
Yeah.
I just need to be myself.
Just need to be the Daniel we all love.
Right, because this all started to come up before I really started to, do my, first the IG live show and then do the podcast, which is me still in that space of figuring it out. And yeah, that was it. I just came to the conclusion, you just got to be yourself. That's all you need to do is be yourself. But I love that you asked the question about the music. So again, a lot of that was me just entertaining myself. I put together the track. I used a lot of samples on GarageBand. Mm-hmm. I bought 2 tracks that I licensed. I mean, it was like $10 to license each of them, which means that I can use them without having to pay the person each time it's played. And then I hired a engineer to just adjust the levels because I'm not very good with the fine details of that. So yeah, what you're hearing, like I put that together. I didn't produce anything other than using my voice individually, but so those were all tracks that were.
But you picked the pieces. You picked all the puzzle pieces that put it all together.
Yeah.
And it's so amazing. It's like a time travel carnival. And it really does take you on a bit of a journey every time you're starting an episode. You're like, okay, we are going back in time. We're jumping on that rocket ship and we're going back in time.
So
time machine, a little DeLorean.
You nailed, like, that's what when I put it together, I was looking for clips that had to do with time. Like, that's the theme. So it's there's a sound that you hear very faintly in the background, which is a record player, where you hear the crisp, because I want to, it almost acts as a white noise, but that feeling of going back 100 years or 80 years, whatever, like where you could, and then, the countdown where, okay, we're getting ready to go on a journey. So, 3, 2, and then all the reverse sounds like, I want to bring you back. And then
wonderful intentions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then I thought about the type of show that I was doing. I'm like, this is going to be a spiritual show. So I thought about all the other spiritual podcasts I've listened to and listened to their intros, which while they fit perfectly for those shows, like, it's the so I got one of the tracks I bought was the singing bowls at the beginning, because I'm like, all right, let's make them think we're gonna go in that direction, and then it's like, bam, hit him with the hip hop track, because that's not what you're expecting. Because like that's my way of also saying to everyone, get ready for something different.
True.
Like this is not your run of the mill spiritual show.
Yeah.
And then I put the record scratch in at the very end because it's amusing to me.
Yeah, it's great. Every little piece of it is so intentional, and I really appreciate all of it. I think I've like rewound it and like listened to it over and over again. I love it so much. I think it's great.
Thank you. Every time when I'm putting the episodes together and when I'm putting the music in and then the intro and then the episode, like before I save it to publish it, I always press play on the intro music just to give me that feel of
So I did it before we recorded. I was like, okay, I gotta listen to that intro before we go. Gotta get in the timeless spirituality mode.
I get a kick out of it every time because I'm just like, you did that. Like you went in a different direction.
I get a kick out of it as a fan.
And so for the record scratch that I utilize at the end of that track, that's not part of the track though. I add that separately because I use that as a segue. But so I do it at the end of the music going into the intro and also counting us out from the episode and going into the closing credits.
Yeah, it's great.
I also use the record scratch because, when we grew up, because we're in our mid 30s, we'll just call it that, mid 30s. We're on the good side of 30, right? Or good side of 40.
Midlife crisis territory.
When we grew up, the record scratch was very prevalent in hip hop and in rock music at that time. Yeah. Because rock was incorporating DJs into their sets.
It's the MTV generation.
Exactly. So there was that part of me when I would listen to those songs back then, when they would do the record scratch and I put my hand up to my ear and hold my hand up. So I'm like, well, I've got my own podcast now. So it's going to amuse me when I put a record scratch in there because now I have something where I can put it in there. I giggle when I do that. Yeah.
It's great. Well, we're as satisfied by it as you are. So I hope.
Thank you. And for my politician thing, thank you for asking that question. I'm very glad that I had a chance to answer that one.
Okay. So I guess we should find our last question here.
What you got?
I have so many more, but I'm going to have to narrow it down for time.
Whose time? Mine or yours?
Mine. I really got to open the window. We got a heat wave here. I want to ask a little more about this. I'm giving this to my Scorpio stellium here. Uh-oh. About
here we go.
Going through death and the afterlife process, because in the sessions that I've heard of, you like die and then you go towards the light, but you stop it before you go into the light. And I remember in my session, I was like, no, I want to go there. And I know in our previous episode, we talked about life between lives, but I wondered if you had anything more that you've seen or experienced about death or post-death or the afterlife kind of process, or even pre-life. If anyone, I know they do some in utero like meditations and stuff, but maybe pre even utero.
The pre happens from time to time. However, when I see the pre happen, it's usually during the session. I usually see it because it's about love. It's about the love that the parents feel for the children. Because I often find it happening in a time when the person I'm doing the session with didn't feel that there was love there. So it almost feels like it's the higher self's way of saying like, not only are you loved, you've been loved since the beginning.
That's so nice.
It really, it gets a beautiful sentiment. Like those,
Really lovely.
those are those moments where I'm like, wow, that was beautiful.
Wow. Something,
Now,
there's something good here.
Take a look at the clock on the wall to double check your birth time. I'm just kidding. I don't say that. I don't want to take him out of that moment.
Do a DNA test.
Right. With regards to going towards the light, I have a session. I'm sorry. I have an episode coming up on that. It's the episode that I talk about that life extensively.
Okay.
Where, the one that was teased.
Right.
So, for everyone listening, her name is Jessica. It's probably aired at this point when I'm recording this. She's amazing. Her handle is at Spirit Explorations. Yeah, if that's not it, just go ahead and send me a message and I'll send you her way. Yeah, she's one of the main past life regressionists who I use, who I'm having my session with tonight.
Oh, perfect.
And the reason why I don't take you further, does it happen? Yes. But that's not the way that I was taught, because that's a different process.
Right.
So the difference between life between lives or life beyond lives process and the ones that I practice is that at that point, when you're moving to the between lives state, that's when I utilize the higher self.
Right.
You're getting information in a different way, but it's also, how would I put it? It's not as third person in the life between lives one. Whereas when the higher self comes forward, it's more of a third person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also depending on which way I decide to go about it. But most of the time, it's a third person interaction. And could I do it? Yes. But I also feel to do something like that may be slightly irresponsible. Like when I do have clients go over there, I know what to do. Mm-hmm. I know how to navigate through that space. But because I'm not trained specifically in that process, I'm like, you know what? It's not best for me to go there because I'm not trained. So, I mean, I'm more of the guy that if it comes up, I'm like, all right, let's do this.
Okay.
But I don't take you there specifically because I feel it is important to know the ins and outs of something like that. If you're going to take someone into the afterlife, you better know how to do it. But if it comes up during a session naturally, it's that feeling of it's coming up, which means I know what to do.
Right.
And I'm going to make it happen, but it's just because it's coming up and I take the gloves off at that point too. I'm like, all right, let's do this. But
yeah.
It bothers me every time when they say, oh, I'm coming to that place. I'm like, got to take you away from it now. It really bothers me, but
does that mean you're interested in exploring how to do that?
Yes and no. I think I've talked about this on the show. I'm not a hypnotherapist.
Right.
Which is something I've never claimed to be, even though people think that I am. But I'm very quick to correct them. Even on one podcast that I was on, in the introduction, the host introduced me as a past life regressionist. And she had recorded the introduction after we recorded the episode, so I didn't know about that. And I listened to the podcast. I was like, oh no, not cool. I was like, hey, I'm not a hypnotherapist. Like, I don't know what gave you that impression, but don't just make those assumptions. I mean, I bring this up because the last time that I checked, in order to do life between lives, you have to be certified as a hypnotherapist.
Okay.
And there's a lot required to become a hypnotherapist.
Yeah.
While I think it could only enhance my skill as a practitioner, because of course I would learn new skills, I also have absolutely no desire to be a hypnotherapist.
Right.
I have no desire for people to come to me and say, hey, I want to, this is what I'm looking to do, this and that. Okay. I want them to come to me if it has to do with past life. It's like, oh, the origins there, awesome. Because as a past life regressionist, I never know what's going to happen during a session. Never. Mm-hmm. And that's exciting for me because it's always fresh. Whereas, this person filled this. I mean, this is my hypnotherapist voice now. Oh, this person says they're coming to me to, because they don't want to eat butt cake anymore. All right. I'm going to give some suggestions and implant this or that. And I have no desire to do that. And for the amount of work that's required, and also depending on who you do it with, I think you want to do it the right way. It can be very expensive to go through that process as well.
Yeah.
And frankly, if I was to do that today, I probably couldn't do the podcast because it would take me, because it's like I do the podcast in my free time. So if I was going to be diving full blown into hypnotherapy school, it would take me away from this. So, but I do have a desire to learn that process, but admittedly, I don't have the desire to do what's necessary to do that. And it pains me to say that because I wish that I looked at the world differently, but my heart's not in it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a small question to close on. Hey, Daniel, can you explain to us if there is life after death? But I think there was enough of a teaser there to say it's a profound experience and question to ponder, and deserves the respect of time and contemplation for all of us, really.
Yeah, like, damn, that's the one you decided to end on. It's the guy. As we're recording this, it's the heat wave in England right now. You know that one you guys heard about a while back, where it was setting
it on the heat wave.
Highest temperatures ever in England, at least in our modern history. I have no shortage
of questions, and if there's any fans out there listening who want to ask Daniel some more questions, I'm sure that I can make this a record. So
yeah, because as Jenny so graciously stated earlier, that I love.
Daniel's favorite thing to talk about is Daniel.
Yeah, so I'm not going to deny that.
We know.
Just owning it. Still doesn't make it right, but yeah.
That's all right. We love talking about Daniel too. So
yeah,
you have an audience for it. Why not?
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for coming on today, and
thank you for being so vulnerable and allowing me to ask these questions without even running them by you first. It's a big part in the evolution of your process. So thank you so much. And thank you for everyone listening for allowing me to take over as hosting on Time of Spirituality today.
You did great. And you're growing as a host too. Can't wait for your podcast.
I don't know if I have the desire for it.
I can understand the whole desire component. All right.
I can just co-host your podcast.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Before we sign off, I want to give you the floor just a little more to talk about your services.
Well, primarily right now, I'm freelancing as a multimedia artist for mystical practitioners, mostly on social media with clips and video editing and image creation and things like that. But I also do tarot readings. I call them your weird Aunt Jenny's storytelling sessions. I like to use tarot and astrology to help you describe the kind of chapter you're in your life and see what kind of weird witchy guidance comes through in your session. So if you do want a one-on-one session with me, you can go to my website, jennysrp.com. My multimedia stuff is also on there. So you got the whole mixed bag on one site, jennysrp.com. Jenny SRP on Instagram, and Jenny SRP videos for more of the astrology and tarot stuff.
And as someone who has used Jenny's services, I can tell you she is amazing to work with, incredibly professional and just really on top of things, which makes things so much easier when you know that you can rely on someone if you're hiring them. So I couldn't recommend her highly enough.
And I wouldn't have gotten to this. Yeah, and I wouldn't have gotten to this point without Daniel and the past life regression that I did last year, and this weird, mystical, transformative, not always easy. And it's not your fault that it was hard. It was the stuff that was just there anyway. But Daniel has been a fundamental, huge piece in the puzzle of me evolving the next chapter of my life. So thank you, Daniel.
It's my pleasure, and I appreciate you so much, and can't wait to have you back on again.
I appreciate you too, Daniel.
Yay! All right, go open up a window now. Fellow time travelers, your journey through time awaits you. Just want to thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. And if you're interested in discovering who, when, and where you have been throughout time, and you'd like to book a session with me, just go ahead and send me a message on Instagram at The Past Life Regressionist, or you can reach me through my website, yourpastliferegressionist.com.